Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Spotlight on Strategy series. Tonight is our strategic scaffolding. We've discussed clarity, alignment, performance, and idea management. And tonight we're going to help you understand how putting in place a cohesive strategic scaffolding framework really helps to exponentially grow your performance over time. Not only does it help you grow your performance, it helps your team, collaboration levels, innovation levels, your communications, deepens your community fabric, and really helps you think outside the box to raise your business value and the impact that you can have with your result set. I am Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO and founder and a transformation strategist at Global Innovation Strategies, LLC. I have a 30-year plus history in commercial, state government, federal government contracting, and working with nonprofit community groups and economic development organizations to really look at how you as a leader, your workforce, your organizations, and the clients and communities that you serve can thrive. All we speak about here is based on the strategic lens and how that can increase your organization's performance and drive deeper levels of cohesion. I'm certified in multiple areas, and I'm happy to discuss with you what challenges and opportunities you might be facing as a leader, as a C-suite entity, and/or community organizer looking to up your game within the ecosystem. Tonight, with regard to strategic scaffolding, what we're really trying to examine is how do we harness our core base of knowledge and our artifacts that we've created across our leadership teams, our workforce, as well as inclusion of our customers, our clients, and our partners, and be able to leverage the insights that we're learning by applying idea management, as well as our other clarity and alignment tools in our innovation toolkit. And we do this to maximize the value proposition that innovation brings to the table. So when we talk about this core base, we're really examining the artifacts we might have designed and created when we were in a startup phase or as we were maturing. And then we want to examine what model we use to stand up and drive the organization perhaps to this point, or the different types of entities you chose as an entrepreneur or solopreneur to drive your organization forward. So our basics, our mission, our vision, our goals, and our objectives, the targets from a performance management, the business models that we've used to date, the portfolio of product and services that we're offering to our customer and client base, as well as knowledge about the challenges and opportunities that we're now facing, or like challenges and opportunities that we've been studying across the ecosystem. Part of our core base can come from that parallel knowledge if we're looking out internationally, if we're looking out domestically, if we're looking to the right and left of us in that parallel industries to understand how they might have recognized a quantum leap opportunity so that we can capitalize on the insights and experience that they brought to the table through either their research or one of their IP offerings. The other part we really want to look at, and sometimes this is where our firms, our leaders, our workforce is at, is really the creation of insights to help us maximize that value proposition. We do this under the auspices of innovation because it's a great cohesion mechanism to take current state, apply our strategic scaffolding or frameworks, take all of the information we've gathered, take the state of the ecosystem as a not a ceiling, so to speak, but the next level up in maturity that we can potentially reach, and then look at how we can potentially make a quantum leap beyond that. We want to use tools such as SWOT and PESTLE, right? We want to do an internal and external analysis as to our challenges and opportunities, our weaknesses and our threats, but we also want to examine PESTLE from a driver and a forcing function mechanism to help us understand if something in the larger ecosystem from a PESTLE perspective, policy, environment, technology, legal, other types of societal factors such as funding, excuse me, etc., are going to enable or are going to constrain. So SWOT and PESTLE, very, to some organizations, very rudimentary, to other organizations that haven't necessarily harnessed them, can be very, very, very illuminating. We oftentimes use that as a basis for pairing what we're learning by our environmental scanning. And that's really from a competitive analysis and a parallel industry analysis. What are the prime people, process, and technology levers that are being leveraged to make those larger exponential leaps, excuse me. So one of the other tools we have, we want to look and see where is VC funding and startups occurring? Again, oftentimes around that technological component, but can be services in support of nascent technologies and or maturing service portfolio offerings. So the environmental scanning gives us what the competition and our parallel industries are doing. Startup scouting really looks at the very early stages of the innovation cycle and lets us understand who's really in the forefront of moving technology and or nascent services and or business models and or partnering models forward that we as leaders and staff can potentially leverage, as well as entrepreneurs, because it also helps us understand what is the likely trajectory long-term for a strategic insertion in a particular market or in a particular technology or in a particular service portfolio area. The next thing we want to look at is really market development, and that's threefold: one, geographic; two, from a market that is underutilized or has been unknown to us as an individual entity, and then what are they doing with regard to the partnership channels? So geo, our organization, uncapitalized or unknown, and then the partnership channels that perhaps can be leveraged. Those all give way to enhanced markets that we can then leverage for greater revenue and greater value add. The next area we focus on in the strategic scaffolding area is what we call unmet needs. So when we look at that challenges and opportunities, the challenges in the problem space can be twofold. We can have collected those internally, or we could have collected those externally from our customer and our client base so that we can leapfrog exponentially by solving a bigger, larger, deeper, more complex problem for them. And then last but not least, we're going to be looking in the ecosystem for the existing partnerships that exist around technology, process, and or workforce. And we're going to be looking at where other expertise is located. Is that a partner? Is that consulting opportunities? Is that domestic? Is that international? Is that raw materials, etc., for what our particular life cycle of offering is, product and or service and or internal, in order to, again, leapfrog that value proposition. The next thing we look at in this scaffolding approach is really focusing on our outcomes and our success roadmap. So we always want to be starting with the end in mind. We always want to be mining our knowledge and our insights and our intellectual capital and our relationships. We want to be leveraging those as we're moving forward. So outcomes, we want to really be able to envision at a higher level once we have our core base in place and solid, and we have our insights to integrate with. We need to understand, how does that move the needle for us on where we can envision our organization, our market space, our collective going in the future, right? If we did a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year strategy, round year 2, round year 3, especially round year 5, especially for startup organizations, right? Really being able to move the needle and dial to a much higher level of vision and impact and revenue as you move forward through those various challenge spaces. So we want to harness what we've learned, harness what exists in the ecosystem intelligence-wise to be able to move our ceiling for success upwards and onwards. And so we do that through envisioning, we do that through partnership discussion, we do that through that ecosystem scanning to understand what's possible. And then we do a gut check and we understand, do we want to meet? Do we want to exceed? And if we want to exceed and leapfrog, how far and how fast can we, and how much risk can we take on in order to do that? And can we get funding to support that amount of risk we're willing to take? So that's our outcomes. Then we have our success roadmap where we're applying the scaffolding approach. And what that really does is it bolsters your planning process, it bolsters your partnering process, it bolsters your value proposition process as you're moving forward, because we can't move forward unless our executives and our workforce and our clients and our customers and our partners can see themselves being successful within that new model. And so we have to be inclusive of those entities. We have to bring them to the table. We have to answer the WIFM for them. And then we have to drive momentum through some kind of monetization offering for each of those constituents so that they'll help us be able to reach that new success ceiling that we're setting for everybody. Again, you get exponential ideation, exponential innovation, and exponential monetization opportunities when we harness this scaffolding approach. Again, as last time, we talked about really the harnessing of idea management and the opportunity space around this. But today we're going to look at the entire ecosystem, where to play, where to win, where to execute. And I want to thank our innovation partners who created this model, because it makes it very easy for you all to see in visual form what you need to do early on, how you can apply your own strategic framework, strategic scaffolding, how you might harness the tools and technologies and research and intelligence that's out in the ecosystem, such as this model, and then really derive a very specific innovation roadmap that's inclusive of the products and services, business models, etc., that will help you in your individual organization and enterprise move forward and maximize your value. So again, short story, capitalize on our organizational challenges, because the other side of that is the opportunity space. Not every organizational challenge do we need to take on at this point. So it's about, how do we maximize value through prioritization, through very strategic funding and very cohesive risk management, through our relationships with our executives, our leaders, our workforce, our clients, our customers, and our partners. And then we want to establish very strict business guardrails so that we have decisional gates that tell us if we're on course or off course with regard to a pilot or an experiment, so that we're harnessing the funding to maximize that monetization opportunity. And then it allows us to most efficiently apply our scarce innovation resources, because oftentimes we're doing this in parallel with the products and services that we've offered to our customer and client base. So we have a maintenance opportunity, we may have things currently in the pipeline, and we're trying to generate next gen 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 at the same time as doing all those other things. So strategic scaffolding, risk management, strategic funding, and again, those partnerships and the relationships that we have with our clients and customers all helps us maximize this model for maximum value proposition. Now, again, strategic road mapping here, we're looking at our business objectives and our planning horizon. So we had to move from current state to future state with regard to our business objectives. We then had to look at where were we in our original planning horizon, how far have we moved the needle, and how far out do we feel comfortable going with this next set of strategic goals and objectives. Then we look at, using the model we just discussed, the approach and the strategy that we want to take to realize on that newly envisioned outcome and result set. Then we want to do our innovation scoping, given our funding levels, given our risk tolerance, given our resources. And then we want to examine from a performance management standpoint, how do we use data analytics, et cetera, MI, AL, et cetera, AI, ML, et cetera, on how to maximize our performance to create the greatest value. So again, strategic road mapping supplies us a repeatable process to be able to do this, often per our board, our executive C-suite, or as needed or as necessary as our ecosystem shifts and is being harnessed as a forcing function. Last but not least, we have ways to continue this conversation if you find it to be of value to your particular leadership role, the place that your organization and enterprise is currently at, the ecosystem drivers that you see coming down the pipe, and or if you're not realizing and maximizing the value, impact, and results that you want yourself and your organization to be making. We have workshops, we have coaching, we have consulting, and you can book a consult today. Go to www.gblinnovstratllc.com, book a consult call with me, and we will make sure that we put something on the books to help you and your business thrive. Thank you again for attending our episode 4 of Spotlight on Strategy. I hope that this content and the discussion served you and is able to help you move forward as you lead your organization into the next set of results, impact, and outcomes that you've envisioned.